Have you ever noticed how some people aren't actually exhausted? They're just scattered?
Yeah, energy is there, but it's spread everywhere. Nothing is landing.
So we try to fix that by adding more breath techniques.
When what's really missing is integration. The system doesn't need more input, it needs gathering.
Not up, not down.
Inward. This is Samana.
So I've practiced yoga consistently for about 10 years now. And I know that the most important part of building consistency and experiencing the true benefits of yoga is community. Other people to hold you accountable. And second to that is a solid practice plan. Simple, guided sequences that you can practice for a long period of time. Too often, we skip practice when no one's watching. And when we do find the courage to show up, we find picking a random class on the internet feels completely overwhelming. And this is exactly why I created the OmSom app. It's a free study tool to learn the Sanskrit and philosophy of yoga. Plus, it's home to the Sadhana Sangha, which is our online community. Within that community, you won't only find daily challenges to keep you accountable to showing up every single day, but every single month, me and the team will give you 5 practices. We'll take you through an Asana workshop, a subtle technique workshop, and we'll break down a few lines of the Yoga Sutra together. It's honestly been my dream to create this app for so long now, ever since I started teaching, because this is what I truly needed when I started practicing yoga. Check it out in the show notes, or just search OmSom on the App Store. That's OMSOM. Anyway, back to the episode. Welcome to the OmSom Yoga and Ayurveda podcast. My name is Aaron Petty. I'm a yoga therapist and a teacher trainer.
My name's Selenna. I'm a yoga teacher and a student of Chinese medicine.
And in this week's episode of the podcast, we are exploring Samana, which is the equalising, gathering, integrating principle of energy. It's a continuation of our bhav in February, which is Jala, the water element. And when we're talking about the water element, we're talking about things that are innately nourishing to us. And Samana is the perfect principle for us to explore here because balanced everything is nourished everything. When we come back into balance, when we come back into equilibrium, when we come back into homeostasis, all of the systems are nourished, and that nourishment is the essence of the water element. So let's get stuck into it with a story.
Let's do it.
So this story starts in a monastery. And inside the monastery, all of the monks are gathered in the kitchen. And they're trying to figure out why the fire never stays lit in this kitchen. They're trying to cook, they're trying to boil their tea, but they just can't get the fire to sustain itself. One of the monks says it was the wood's fault. It was poor wood. It was too wet. And the other one says, no, it's not the wood. The wind's just too strong. Another one jumps in and he says, no. It's just the hearth. It's like poorly built. The bricks aren't placed correctly. Anyway, and so the senior monk comes in and he just sits back and he watches them. And after a little while, watching them kind of bicker and argue, he says, listen, you guys you're feeding the fire, but you're not gathering it. And so he rearranged the coals and he drew them a little bit closer together. And then he waited. And without adding any more fuel, the flame steadied and the fire started to burn intelligently. And then they were able to boil their tea and have a tea party.
Feeding the fire, not gathering it.
That's it. So when energy is dispersed, nothing gets digested. But when energy is gathered, we get this natural warmth and clarity. And that gathering of energy is what we call samana. Right? And so it's really this analogy around if you take all the coals and you spread them out, they lose their heat. But if you bring them together toward the center, then they can work together to sustain that heat, and then they can boil our tea for us. So in the same way, when our energy is dispersed, we feel scattered and burnt out.
Yeah.
Right? But actually, what we feel then is like, oh, I'm burnt out. And then sometimes we think like, oh, I'm tired. So then what do I need to do? I need to bring more energy, right? Add more fuel to the fire. So I might go for a run. I might do Surya Namaskar. I might do some heavy breathing exercises. But what we don't realize is that those things are actually going to just further deplete
Yeah, working
right?
against us.
You're adding fuel to a dispersed fire. And so before we can add the fuel, we have to bring everything together. And it's this balanced quality that we call samana. It's bringing everything into the center to establish balance, to establish homeostasis, to establish that rhythm in our practice and in ourselves.
Let me stop you there for a sec.
Okay.
Is it pronounced Samana or Samana? Because we've heard this word before.
Yeah. Okay, this is a good one. So it's an important distinction for us because there are two of the same. And yes, you'll hear me pronounce Samana and you'll hear me pronounce Samana. What you're hearing there between those two words, Samana and Samana, is just one vowel, the middle A, being lengthened. When we change a vowel in that way in Sanskrit, it changes the word.
Changes everything.
It changes the meaning.
Yeah.
And so actually these two distinctions just signify a slightly different thing. So when we talk about samana, we're talking about the quality of energy which is balanced. When we talk about samana, we're talking about a vayu, which is a specific action of energy in the body.
And I think we've covered the vayus on the podcast.
Oh, I don't
many
know.
moons ago.
Maybe a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a series for us a little later in the year. But this idea is just like they're similar, but they're slightly different. One is the quality, and that's what we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other is the vayu, which is the kind of the action of prana.
Yep.
We're also going to talk about that today. I'll try to keep those distinctions as much as I can. We might use them interchangeably. But I think what can be really helpful for us is just to break down this into the root words. And the root word for both of these is summer. And summer means, like, it's not the season, obviously. Maybe not obviously. Maybe not if you're in America, because then it would be summer. But we call it summer in Australia. But in Sanskrit, this word summer means togetherness, wholeness, completion, unification, totality. Yeah? It's something that we hear in words like samkhya. Samkhya is the philosophy. We definitely have a podcast on this one. But samkhya means the knowledge of totality.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the other one is like samavriti, where you're equalizing the currents of the breath. You have equal ratios within the breath. And so this root word sam or sama is equal, equalizing, togetherness, completeness, wholeness, unified, oneness. It's kind of like we're speaking to a totality here.
Yeah.
And that means then that we are taking all of the prana and gathering it, bringing it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so we look at it like this, that it's our energy, our prana is what gives us life. Yeah. And if our life energy becomes scattered, we become scattered. Yeah. The mind becomes scattered, our focus and attention becomes scattered, our life becomes scattered. And so it's not about bringing more energy in, because our energy is already scattered. So no matter how much energy we bring in, it will continue to disperse and scatter. So before we try to bring more energy in, we try to gather it up, and we use the quality of samana and the vayu of samana to do this. So when we apply this to the breath, we are talking about equalizing the currents of the breath. What are the currents of the breath? The
inhale, exhale.
Yeah, the inhale and the exhale.
Yeah.
And so last month when you and I had the chat,
Yeah.
we were talking about Lanka, which was the exhalation extended.
Yeah.
And that the quality of the exhalation extended is the calming quality, which we call Lanka. So in relation to that, when we take the two parts of the breath and make them equal to one another, as well as if we were to add in equal retention, so it's maybe 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, and 4 counts hold, the effect of that is samana, which is the equalizing of the prana, the gathering of the prana and the bringing of everything together. Yeah, and it helps us to establish balance, which is like the medical term is homeostasis.
Yeah.
the state of equilibrium in the body, the state of health in the body, the state of balance in the mind, right? Balance in all parts.
levels.
And I think it's so inherently yogic because like yoga doesn't ask us to do anything in extremes. Yoga asks us to live a life of balance,
Yeah.
right? Not excess in food, not excess in our practice, not excess in our sensory input, to find balance in all of those places. So in order to create that balance, as I said, we are gathering things in, yeah? Where do we gather things to in the body? We gather them into the navel, into the belly, right? When we can gather our awareness into the belly, we find this balance. I'm just going to use the same words over and over at this point.
It's the best word for it.
Yeah. And so there's like many techniques in yoga, and we'll explore them a little bit more down the track as we kind of get into this a little bit further. But they're all the things that help us to find balance in ourselves. And so like the Samavriti, the 4 to 4 to 4 breath ratio, the Nadi Shodhana, where you're inhaling to the left and exhaling to the right, and then inhaling to the right and exhaling to the left. These are balancing practices. Not only that, but we could even look at like what postures require us to find balance, like tree pose, for example. You're standing on one foot, it's taking you off, and your job is to come back to balance. Yeah. And so it's about understanding within ourselves as an experience what balance feels like. So maybe you could share with us, Selenna, a time in your life where you felt inherently out of balance.
Out of balance? Time I felt out of balance is quite recently, when I've overworked myself, not sleeping well, working late nights. And it's just a horrible feeling, just going through the motions.
Yeah. And like you're like tired, and there's so much going on, and then it's just like, I don't know where to focus at this point.
Yeah.
Like my mind is scattered, my life is scattered.
Scattered, yeah. Everything's everywhere. It feels like I'm giving too much in too many places.
And then you've got like the doom piles in your room, the clothes start to pile up, and the dishes are on the bench.
I do not like living like that.
That is hella scattered.
Yeah.
Okay. And then like when you do all the things, because I know you know how to do all the things, and it was like by just explaining what happened, so you go back to your sleep, you go back to your practice, you take a few things off your plate, and then like what does that feel like when you come back to balance?
It's just this natural state of bliss that we always have access to. You know, it's not this big experience that people always talk about. It's just living life and being joyful.
Yeah. And then it's like you're so much more organized. It's like, okay, I can fold the clothes, I can do the dishes.
And everything just falls into place, and you're in a position to give to others.
Exactly. And so it's like, what are we balancing? Well, we're balancing between these two things. It's like, okay, I'm over energized. I've got so much energy that it's like pushing me towards burnout, or I'm like depleted. I don't have enough energy. I'm like feeling heavy and stagnant. If we look at those two things, and like these are such common experiences where it's just like, oh my God, I'm just rushing and everything's happening all at once, or just like, oh, I don't have anything left. I'm so tired. I'm sinking. What we're looking for in Samana is like, what does balance feel like for us? And I think it's so key for us to just realize what it feels like to be off balance, so that we know as a lived experience what balance feels like for us.
It's kind of an essential way into Samana. Samana.
Yeah. Wow, both.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and for me it was my first ever yoga class. The theme was balance.
Right. And
I remember the quote so clearly: when you hit your lowest point, you're open to the greatest change.
Great memory.
Yeah. Well, stuck in there. So
say that again.
When you hit your lowest point, you open to the greatest change. You know who said that? Avatar Aang. And it was a huge turning point for me in my life. Like, I was watching Avatar, I was 21.
Yeah.
And I was out of balance. I was like drinking too much alcohol, and I was eating unhealthy food. I was a bit overweight. I was super depressed. And he said that, and by the way, this is a cartoon I'm talking about. He didn't say it to me. I was just watching the cartoon. But he said that when you hit your lowest point, you're open to the greatest change. And it struck something in me that was like, this is my lowest point. This is what imbalance feels like. And so then the journey was, and it's what led me back to yoga. It's what led me to take my teacher training. It's what led me to make all of these big changes in my life.
Yeah.
But the journey wasn't towards enlightenment. The journey was toward balance. And it's actually like it's balance that gives us that stability and support and equilibrium to then take the path of yoga. It's balance that allows us to find clarity in the mind, to become adaptable, and to recognize the things that pull us out of balance. So it's vital for our yoga practice, and it's maybe something that we forget a lot of the time. Even as teachers, like we'll try and tailor our class towards one of the extremes. Let's get really grounded, or let's get really energized. But oftentimes we forget that there's a middle ground, right? You can do a super strong power yoga practice where you finish in a puddle of sweat, and you can do a super relaxing yin practice that leaves you kind of just like a sloppy puddle on the floor. I remember saying to one of my teachers once, there's no in between for me. It's either a super strong practice or it's a super relaxed practice. And now I teach the middle. Yeah. And it's like the Buddhist path as well, the middle way.
The middle way.
It's like we need to find the center in our lives, and it's the center that allows us to stay afloat. It's how it relates back to the water element, is that it's like, so think about like buoyancy in the water. What causes a boat to float is not that you have all of these pieces scattered across the top of the ocean, but it's actually that all of the cells in that structure have been brought together, and it's that bringing together that allows them to rise above the density of the water.
Makes sense.
And so in our yoga practice, it's like that coming together, that bringing together that allows us to become buoyant, for us to be able to float through life, create that ease and that adaptability and that flow, right? But it's like we don't want to be drowning under the water.
No.
We don't want to be drowning under the water. We want to be floating above it and allowing it to take us wherever life is going to take us. And it's Samana that allows us to do that.
I remember when I first started teaching at new studios where I hadn't met anyone in the class before, I would always teach a Samana class because no matter where people came from, what they were seeking in their practice, it would always bring them into balance.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just like you're 100% right. It's a kind of practice that meets everyone's needs. It's like no matter where you're at on the spectrum, like the center is always a good place.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming back to the center is always a good idea. Yeah, cool. All right, so let's try and understand this a little bit deeper by looking at some texts. The best place to look for information about Samana or Samāna is actually in the Ayurvedic texts. So we're going to have a look at these Ayurvedic texts. The first one is the Charaka Samhita. And in the Charaka Samhita, in the 12th chapter, it says, Samana Vayu is the wind that digests the nutritive essence of food. That digests the nutritive essence of food, right? And so if the water element is about nourishment, it's the Samana, or it's the bringing together of the energy that extracts the essence, the nourishment from our foods. The second one that I have here is a specific location from Charaka Samhita. It's that Samana resides in the abdominal cavity.
Interesting.
Samana resides in the belly. Yeah. When we enter into a flow state, right? They say, what's the saying? Like, lead from your gut. It's like intuition for a lot of people resides in their belly. And it's like that intuition that is adaptability
Yeah.
and flow, and we can just kind of move with things. There's intuition involved, but that intuition lives in the belly.
Yeah, the navel center.
I got a gut feeling about this. And it's like the water element is all about feeling, right? Okay, so the next one is this one from Ashtanga Hridayam. And it says, Samana assists Agni. And I think this is just a really important piece, because when we think about the belly and we think about digestion, we think about the fire, right? But Samana is not Agni. And it's just a really key kind of thing to separate ourselves from, thinking that Samana is digestive capacity, the actual process of digestion. But it's fire that does the digesting. And in that story we spoke about, it wasn't the fire that was our context. We were actually talking about the gathering of the coals.
Yeah.
So it's like Samana doesn't create digestion, but it supports our digestion and it balances our Agni. It stops the fire from burning too hot or not burning at all. It allows the fire to remain steady.
So it supports Agni.
Yeah, it supports Agni. It's not the Agni itself.
It's quite confusing because they do have similar qualities.
Yeah, totally. And it is kind of like Samana is the place where the water and the fire kind of cross over. But there's really the essential qualities of both of them exist here. And it's like the Samana actually supports the fire. The water supports the fire. And it kind of seems counterintuitive, and when we look at it from the Ayurvedic approach, we don't think about like you're putting water on the fire, but you're fueling the fire with water. And what that means is that fire and water, they create an acid. And it's like the water is necessary for that acid to form. It's a watery fire. It's a water that burns. It's a water that digests. And that's like, it has to be held together. Acid needs to be contained, otherwise it burns. And
all the elements work cohesively to create that balance.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's another piece is like, we're not trying to be one of these elements at a time. We're not trying to just be earth or just be water or just be fire, but we're trying to find that cohesive balance between all of the elements. Can we bring all of the elements into balance where we have just enough earth, just enough water, just enough fire, just enough wind, just enough space? That also the elements themselves can be a source of imbalance, right? But it would be Samana or Samana that brings them back into balance. And so like, we're not even really talking about balance, but we're talking about the force that brings us back to balance. Right? It's like, you could be standing in tree pose in balance, you fall off balance, and then it's the energy of coming back to center. That's the Samana.
All right, let's get practical now.
Mr. Philosophy guy. All right, so what does it look like in practice? Like, what are some practical techniques that we can use? I've already given you a couple. We talked about Nadi Shodhana. Why is Nadi Shodhana balancing though? Because it's the nadis, right? We talk about pranayama. We spoke about it last month together, that the breath practices are not about the breath, but they're about the energy and the qualities that are invoked when we do those practices. So in Nadi Shodhana, you've got these two channels, right? The two nadis. And those two nadis are the Ida and the Pingala, the sun channel and the moon channel. If energy moves through either of those channels, if it moves through the sun channel, it takes on the quality of the sun. And then we get hot and we get excited and we get empowered and excited. If the prana moves through the moon channel, then it calms us, it grounds us, we feel relaxed, we feel easeful. And Nadi Shodhana works with both the left nostril and the right nostril in balance, balances those two nadis. When we have the balance of sun and moon, we call it Hatha Yoga. Yeah, and so Hatha Yoga, it's meant to be the yoga of balance. We do the things that bring us back into balance. Yeah,
and for anyone who's watching and isn't sure what Nadi Shodhana is, we also call it alternate nostril breathing. Yeah. So breathing up one side of the nostril, out the other, up the same side, and then out the other.
Yeah. But it's not about the nostrils, is it?
No.
Another bad
But,
translation.
Yeah. But we need some point of reference.
Yeah, 100%.
With the body.
Yeah. But it's like that's the action. The action is
Yeah.
breathing through the nose, but the result is what's happening to the prana or the nadis in this case. Okay, the second samana technique that we use is what's called samavriti, and this word is inherent in this.
This is one of my favorites.
Samavriti. All right, what is it?
Equal length.
Yeah.
Inhale, breath retention, exhale, and then breath retention.
Yeah, you might know it as box breathing.
Box breathing. Yeah.
So this equalising of the ratios of the breath, like it creates the balance. It's the balanced ratio. So it might be 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold is the common way of doing it. But by doing that, we get that same effect of like it's a balancing breath. We use it to settle ourselves or to center ourselves when things are happening that are moving us in either of those directions.
I just had a flashback to my first Hatha yoga class, and this is how we ended the practice, and it's what kind of started my path.
Oh, with Hatha.
Yeah.
Nice. Samavriti.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's so simple, but yeah, I felt what it really meant to be in balance.
That's so
And that
powerful.
was the point where I realized that I wasn't living in balance for many, many years.
Yeah. That's the power of yoga,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's those feelings that we have. It's
Yeah.
like we do the thing that's meant to do the thing, but then you have the felt experience and you're like, that's what it feels like. That's what balance feels like. Okay, the other practical things in practice we could use would be like the balancing postures. But the other thing specifically is that we use the twisting postures here. Any kind of twist. So it could be like a seated twist, a standing twist. You're in a lunge and you're doing a twist. But it's like this twisting. First, we can think about it as like a twist has 2 sides.
Yeah.
You twist in one direction and then you twist in the other direction. And by twisting in both directions, you're balancing out the kinks in the body. If it's a standing one, obviously there's a balance element to it physically. But the idea is that those twisting postures have this gathering effect. They gather our awareness into the belly, into the gut. And they bring our awareness into this intuitive, adaptive sort of place. The twists, they're kind of internalizing in that way. I would say of all the pose categories, twisting's going to be my favorite.
Yeah,
like if I haven't got the time, I'm doing twists.
It's just a classic one to fall back on.
Yeah, for sure. I might teach twisting tonight. All right, and so then in daily life, how does Samana show up for us?
Maybe improved digestion.
Yeah,
because we're working with the navel area.
Yeah,
with the twists.
Yeah, and then we're balancing the digestive fire, the Agni. There's also then that feeling of balance in the mind. I'm not kind of leaning in either of those directions mentally. And then the result of that is like there's more clarity in my life.
Yeah.
Like I've got clearer ability to make decisions. I can more clearly see my circumstances. I can more clearly see what's pulling me out of balance. And I can more clearly see the things that will help me to come back into balance when I do fall out. It's like, what do they say? Hindsight's 20/20.
Yes.
And yeah, it's like sometimes you got to do the thing that pulls you out of balance to only realize what pulled me out of balance. And then it's like, I'm not going to do that again. It's
such a common story. Like before people find yoga, they're living some sort of lifestyle and yoga is what pulls them out of it. Or just helps them realize.
Yeah. Well, it's like
something.
Yoga brings us back into balance as it should.
Yeah.
If you're not coming back into balance through yoga, think about it. Think about it. Why are you doing these practices that pull you out of balance? No extremes, my friends. And so then it's like you get this embodied experience of like, I feel centered. I feel centered in my experience. I know where my center is. And then you always have a reference point to come back to. Okay, so for you at home, what I want you to reflect on after this episode is just consider like in what situations in your life do you feel like your energy gets dispersed? Is it at work? Is it in relationships? Is it when you go on social media? I know for me, like when I go on social media, it's just like there's so many things pulling my attention at the same time that it makes me feel scattered. And once you recognize that within yourself, when you feel dispersed, what are the things that bring you back to center? When you get back to center, what does it feel like? What does it feel like to be balanced? And if that's not something that you know right now, know that that's okay. But see if you can identify for yourself what things pull me out, what things pull me back. Find that point of reference for yourself. Yeah.
It's a great practice. Even just go back 24 hours. See what you've been doing in your day, what's been pulling you out, what do you call them? Vampires, like energy suckers.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can identify them, then you can make decisions more clearly about what you're going to do the next day, the next week, the next year, the next lifetime. Okay, I think that's enough for us today. How are you feeling? Anything more you want to add?
No.
Great. Well, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you so much. We love you so much. As you know, we don't get anything out of this podcast apart from your appreciation and the knowledge within ourselves that you hopefully have learned something. If you want to support us, please go and check out what's going on at Samāna at the moment. Come into the studio, come and have a chat, come and have a practice, or come and join us on one of our overseas retreats or trainings. Come and join us online. I've got some trainings happening at the moment online, 100 hours of Hatha, 50 hours of Yin, and we've got the Sadhana Sangha. We would love and appreciate it if you came and connected with us in any way you see fit. Hari Om. See you next week.
Hari Om.